I gotta click this. Dang, we look professional for not knowing what the crap we're doing.
What happened?
You know, that countdown thing, like, you know, it's almost like we should be able to do this stuff, but we don't.
Almost.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris and Ty here, 8 Times Up Outdoors. I put a post up on Instagram today that was like, hey, we're actually like still around, because I haven't posted anything on Instagram in a month probably, and it's not like we've done a video. The last video we did was with Will from the podcast. So that's been a while. So we're here. And
we're still alive.
We are. Which, you know, for a New Year's resolution, I think that's a pretty good one, to still be alive. Yeah. So we're here. And we finally got together, and we both had a day off ish, like at least part of a day off at the same time. So we're like, all right, screw it. We're just going.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch it, see how this goes. So we actually have people watching. What the crap? All right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a lot more pressure. So how was your holidays? Good? Things good?
Dude, they were good. I went up to Northwest Colorado for Christmas with Jordan's family. And I thought deer running across the road was bad, but elk either are cruise missiles that like vehicles, or they're on a suicide mission. Because I about hit like 10 of them at different intervals throughout the trip. It was insane. Like, I was genuinely very thankful that nothing bad happened.
Yeah, and elk are like, you know, like a deer, you're like, all right, this is gonna hurt. But an elk is like, I may not walk away from this. Like,
right.
Yeah, they're giant. So that's crazy.
But I mean, the holidays were great. I had a good time. How are yours?
I mean, it was good. Holidays for me get nuts with all the, you know, tourist stuff that I deal with. So we deal with a lot of people, and work gets crazy. But, you know, with kids, it's always good. Christmas is fun, and we pack in Christmas and my daughter's birthday within like a week and a half of each other. So we actually just got done with that. Yeah, you're laughing because I have a teenage daughter now.
You do have a teenage daughter now.
I used to like you. Andrew, what's up, man? Andrew's here. Andrew, has it warmed up where you're at yet? Because the last picture Andrew sent me, I think it was like -35. So
that's not good for health. Like, that's not conducive to living longer.
Yeah. Andrew also says moose are serious business on the road. We don't get a ton of that. There's some up by Taylor. We've almost hit one with a boat closer than we've hit one with a vehicle, but
I can see moose being, you know, very bad for road activity, seeing as how they're like 5 feet taller than most vehicles.
Yeah. I have a pastor friend who, I think it was his brother, was working at a church in Alaska, and his first week at the church, he's like driving from his house in their minivan down the road to go to the church, and this big bull moose is broadside in the center of the road. So they stopped the van. They're like, what are we supposed to do here? And the moose walks up, puts its horns against the side of the van, and just flipped it over and walked off. Welcome to Alaska.
Yeah, that's like a, you know, phallic shape measuring contest.
Yeah. Yep. And it won.
Yeah. Like, hey, I'm the biggest. See you later.
Yep. Yep. All right, we're done here.
Hmm.
All right. He said it's up to 30. It's like tolerable now. So
Like 30 above zero.
I'm assuming he didn't say negative 30. So yeah. But all right. So we're in 2022. No, we're in 2023. We
Yes.
just finished 2022. So we decided that we want to look back. And this is probably for you and I's own benefit as much as anybody else's, so that we don't forget this crap later.
Right.
But we wanted to do our like best of 2022, our favorite things from different variety of categories, for fishing gear, boat gear, 8 times up gear, things we learned, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to dive through those. We may do maybe there's some goals or something. I'm going to plant that seed so you can start thinking about goals for 2023. So I don't just throw you under the bus. But
I'm with you.
yeah, so let's start with boat. I think
Boat?
we start with boat. Yeah. What was your favorite addition to your boat this year?
So obviously I drive or have a 16-foot V hull. So my floor space, my storage opportunities with the amount of equipment that you and I have, whether it's cameras, fishing tackle, and then when you add other people to the whole thing, they bring all their fishing poles and their tackle, their cooler. Like I just run out of room so quickly that being able to walk around, like one, you can't really walk around, but like move around to, change lines, change gear, whatever, is in very short supply. So I'm gonna have to move my computer here a little bit. But my favorite thing that I got this year for the boat was a tackle box from Bass Pro. And it's right here.
That was a good camera pan. That almost looked professional too.
You like that?
Yeah,
A fancy sleeping bag above it.
that's right.
Now, the reason I like it so much is it has enough room in it for 7 or 8 of the Plano like individual uh, boxes,
Trays. Yeah.
the tray type things. And then I got like 5 or 6 other smaller ones that are in there for, like swivels and hooks and just other little terminal parts of tackle that are in there. The nice thing is it fits underneath the steering wheel and
Oh,
the like. So if I leave the top flap open, then I have access to the whole tackle box without having to like pull it out or move it around or do anything like that. And I can just pull those out and I have them labeled so I know which one I'm grabbing for whatever I'm looking for. It made life a lot easier for
nice.
2022.
There you go.
The sad part is I outgrew it already, so I'm probably going to need another one. And there goes my floor space again.
And it's done.
Yep.
When you started down that trail, I thought you were going to talk about like, okay, hold on. Let me back up first. Do you remember how much that tackle box cost just for people watching?
Yeah, it's about $115.
Okay. So $115, Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, whatever it is near you.
Yeah.
There
They're all
it is.
now.
Yeah. When you started down that, I thought your favorite thing was going to be the rod trees that you made, which I mean, yeah.
That might be up there.
I mean, because that was so you made like PVC rod trees for the October trip this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing from Superior Angling that I like to watch is when they troll with planer boards and stuff, they have, it's basically like this piece of pipe and then it has arms that shoot out the side of the boat at different angles. And then they just put their rod in there and they can have as many as they want. Well, as many as their rod tree will hold. And so I got to researching it, and those rod trees that are aluminum and they're welded and they're super fancy, and you know, Superior Angling is a lot better at fishing than you and I,
100.
and so they make a lot more money than we do. And but they were rather expensive, and so I had to do some redneck ingenuity, and that's where I came up with the PVC pipe and USB and the whole shooting match, but put it together and it worked great. I
I
gotta
was
tell you,
gonna say they crushed at Taylor this year. So
yeah.
we need to do because after you had that success, I bought the stuff and then ran out of time to put it together. But we should do like a DIY video of how to make one of those.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. It was a
so that if,
lifesaver.
yeah.
Because
So
even with the you get the rod holders that they attach to the side of the boat and you get one at a time,
mhm.
that that just kills your mobility inside the boat, because then you have like a foot and a half of that end of that fishing rod sticking into the boat,
Yep.
and then that also allows for your buddies to mess with you, because then they grab the end of your rod and you know make it look like you got a bite and you don't. So
Don't pretend like you don't like when your buddies grab the end of your rod, Chris.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
All right. No, I agree. Like on my boat, I only have two, like I have two chairs at the back and then two off the front. But the two that are off the back, the one that's not the captain's chair, it has a rod holder for it for trolling and stuff. And the way the chair swivels, because that handle sticks out far enough, it always clips the edge of that rod. And
Right.
so I definitely want to put a rod tree on that side of the boat this year. So
Absolutely. I can't say enough good things about it. Like
yeah,
it made life so much easier.
there you go. So all right, so that's yours. My I so I did two favorite things for the boat this year. And it's kind of in the same vein. One is expensive, took some investment. The other one's super cheap. Both made my life way better. Um, iPilot and iLock on a trolling motor is the greatest invention of all time. It was my favorite thing by far. So got to put a new trolling motor on the boat this year. And that was like the one thing I wanted to make sure I had was the iLock mostly. iPilot isn't even fully up and running on my boat because cables and freaking Minn Kota and it's a nightmare. I think I bought 14 different cables this year trying to get everything hooked up. But the iLock thing for Taylor that is pretty deep water was absolutely a game changer to be able to sit on top of fish and not worry about getting blown around or anything. So that's definitely, if you have the means to get a Minn Kota motor with iLock, do it. Just freaking do it. It was awesome.
Am I green with envy? Like, I can't tell.
Yeah, I know that one stings a little, but you know,
does.
yeah, it's so even like when we were bass fishing and stuff at Schweitzer, our local lake, like being able to lock into a spot and just blast and cast it at the shore and not worry about the wind blowing you down or anything, like, man, it's awesome. So
Yeah.
so that's one. My second one, which you may have been the person that recommended these. Do you have these, the like felt pad things that just screw on to the side of your, did you
Oh
put one
no,
of those on your console?
no, I didn't. I've
Okay.
seen those, but no, I haven't invested in those yet.
And so up until I got it's just a piece of plastic with like felt on it. You could probably make this, but I also think it was like $7. So it's not,
Right.
again, Cabela's, whatever, they had it. Man, my go-to, like if I was switching out gear, like I would just throw it in the cup holders on my console all the time, and then my boat would be out and it would rain, and then all those freaking hooks would get all rusted and I'd have to switch those out, and like I got to get a better system. So I bought one of these and just screwed it to the side of the console. And so now if I'm swapping gear out, it just goes onto there. And then I mean, like at Taylor, when you have 3 guys on your boat, being able to have kind of this collection of like, hey, this is what's been working,
Right.
and then you don't have to dig into your box. Like, it was like, just as far as making life easier, it was a big one for us. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All the sides of my boat have that carpet or felt on it. And so I don't have like I didn't have to buy it, thankfully, but I like whatever works. I just build this little line of
Mhm.
lures. I'm like, hey, these things have worked. So like, the whatever's at the top has worked the most. Switching back and forth.
Got a scoring system along the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So favorite thing from boat, we got that. Favorite fishing gear that you bought this year? Lure, reel, pole, what, anything used for actually fishing?
Well, I think I'm gonna go with 2 on this one. So I bought larger planer boards this year that were designed to actually handle lead core line for trolling.
Right.
Um, those I wouldn't say they worked absolutely as well as I wanted them to or I thought they would, but they definitely made life easier and I was able to get more lines in the water and keep less of a mess. So I was happy about that. But as far as like actually putting fish in the boat, I'm gonna have to say that this bad boy was the ticket.
All right. Hold on. Keep that held up there. I'm going to see. I think I can make this is one of those solo layout. There we go. Boom. Now you're big.
Oh, there we go. I can't remember. I just tried to look it up on the internet. Oh, and I can't remember the Bay de Noc or it's Bay DE and then another word of NOC. I think that's the company that makes them, and they're called Laker Takers.
Mm.
And this thing killed it. I probably put 3 of these out in the water at the same time, and they would catch rainbow trout too, but they also caught Lakers. And this was the most consistent fish catching lure I had. And it was probably about about $6 a piece. So it wasn't terrible, but
You don't want to lose them.
no, I don't want to. Yeah, you're definitely going to put in a little effort to retrieve it if it gets snagged. It's not like you're, $2 Castmaster or something. But
Yeah. Don't let Will put that on the end of his line and start casting because he'll just throw it across the lake. So,
yeah, I mean, Will's not very cheap. Will's expensive to take fishing.
He's got expensive taste, but he brought good booze. So we'll take
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah, I really like those. I I even caught a couple Lakers from the shore with that casting them, which I
nice.
was pretty surprised about because they're really light.
Are they?
Yeah.
So, all right. My go-to, which I'm pretty sure I talked about this lure in the lake trout pregame video that we did, or I did. You weren't on that one.
It's probably working.
So yeah, you were, I think. But it is these. Let's see. Oh, let's turn down the brightness. We learned this in practice. We just didn't. There it goes.
Yeah.
Those bad boys right there, which they are I had this ready and now it's not because we talked too much. Something buoyant. Crap. Buoyant spoon. Cabela's has them.
Yellow
Anyways, I'll get it pulled up. But those things, I mean, so the pink ones, Chris and I both have pink ones and the red ones of that. Man, for at least the last year, maybe 2 years, has consistently been one of the best lures for lake trout fishing here in Colorado that we've found. and at different depths. I mean, from 20 to 60 feet, you're pretty consistently being able to put fish in the boat with those. So that is definitely one of mine that was awesome. The other one that I have to give you credit for is the snap weights. That's the other thing that I bought this year that was super helpful for trolling was
Oh,
those snap weights. Being able to run the lead core out, a third of what you typically had to get it to the same depth, and just clipping a 2-ounce, 3-ounce snap weight on there. It pauses your retrieve a little, which with a couple of the guys that were newer, I think we lost some fish in that moment because you lose tension trying to get that off. But man, for being able to run lines at 50 feet out, 75 feet out instead of 150, 200 feet out is a game changer when Taylor's not a big lake, so you have to make some fairly tight turns every now and then, and we've lost a lot of crap making turns. And so that was super helpful. So snap weights for trolling, I'm all on board for those, and those little lures.
Thomas lures.
Thomas buoyant spoon, that's what it is. And
about $6.
Yeah, and multiple colors. I think this year black was the one that this October, black was the one I was catching everything on, which it did not has been successful in the past. So yeah, that's my fishing gear. What was the other ones we talked about? What else were we going to do? Favorite
8 times up swag.
Okay. Well, I want to end with that because, we got to end with that.
Right.
Pitch the one thing we're good at, which is sending out swag.
Yeah. What was here? I'm going through my messages again. Favorite thing you learned?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good one. I like this one. What do you got?
No, you're first. Go ahead. I asked the question.
Take credit like you did anything for this.
Yeah, I came up. I really typed it out. Worked hard at it.
Right. So mine is a no-brainer in my world. For the first time ever, caught a lake trout jigging this October, and actually multiple lake trout jigging, and that's been a thing we've talked about because freaking Superior Angling, man, they make it look easy. Those guys have it dialed in up there on Lake Superior. And for whatever reason, every old timer I've ever talked to, anybody that catches big lake trout, it's always, you just jig for them. And I don't know if we just both have too much ADHD or what, but we haven't been able to do it. And this year, finally, hooked multiple fish jigging. One of them hooked, I would say, was real good. It got off, so it's the fish that got away story. But
take it easy, Captain Ahab.
Yeah, this definitely was not. But I don't know. It could have been a small one that just fought well. So I don't know. But yeah, caught a couple fish that way, and then one of the moments that really kind of solidified it for me was there was a day, and we have some drone footage of it, where our boat parked on top of the biggest school I saw on sonar. And I was like, this is it. We're going to get into it. We're just going to sit here and jig. And we sat there for an hour and did not catch crap. It was miserable. And, when you're kind of, captaining the boat or whatever, and you get to that and that's your results, you're like, it suck. It's a kick in the nuts. You don't feel great about it. And so we ended up leaving there. Well, the next morning I went out, and I was the only person that went out, but my daughter went out with me, and we immediately went back to that same spot, and 2 cast in jigging, was able to get a laker on the boat. And so it was okay, for whatever reason during that moment, they were not eating, or we did not present it well, whatever. but starting to figure things out. So I think I'm excited to finally caught something jigging and learned how to do it, maybe somewhat successful, and excited for that to get better in this upcoming year.
Right.
So
Yeah, for me, it was interesting because like I've got Jekyll and Hyde on my boat, right? So like as soon as I put Travis on the boat, like he wants 10 different poles on there with 10 different things and 10 different depths and 10 different speeds all on the same boat. Like Travis is boy I wanna, you
right.
know? And so then but he also has this other part of him where it's like I just want to catch fish. And so figuring out like once we got to like we caught 2 or 3 fish and we were doing it consistently, like going through the same areas at the same speed with the same gear on there. I just stuck with it.
Right.
And so like being patient. I mean, there was times where I was super antsy and frustrated because like it had been 45 minutes we hadn't caught a fish. But like I might change out one lure on a line, but not all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I had developed a system and a plan, and I just stuck with it and then made small minute changes every so often, and not this like big grandioso change.
Yeah.
And one day we put like 20 Lakers in the boat, and so it took a long time, and they weren't exceptional fish, but they were right at that perfect eating size, 22 inches long or so, give or take.
Right.
And we just, whatever we caught them on, we just kept doing it. And that worked throughout the whole weekend. And so having a system or developing one and like giving it enough time to actually work was hard, but very beneficial in the end.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you got to this is like a side note or whatever, but the trolling parachute things were kind of a game changer for you as well this year.
yeah. So I have the, what I call the big motor, the gas powered motor and whatnot.
Jason's here. Jason's one of our supporters out of Utah. He's a good dude. So yeah, it is somewhat of a resolution.
I have a cousin with, oh, never mind.
Okay.
I got the last name screwed me up. My cousin's last name is Noonan, not Newman.
Oh, got it.
So I'm like, wait, is that my cousin? Like,
you and
yeah,
Jason share a profession, so you guys could talk as well to some extent. So that's
Jason
an off
camera profession.
Jason Newman, that's here. Yeah, you have a similar work line, so that's an off camera topic, but
yeah. But yeah, no, they're called drift socks. And typically what people do is they use them in high wind or whatever. You throw them off one side of the boat and it just kind of slows it down from being allowed. It just creates more drag. And then, but I used them trolling, so I could use the gas motor to troll. And it's because without any additional resistance, the gas motor goes at like 2 to 2.2 miles an hour. But with you throw those drift socks in and you get down to like 1.5, 1.3.
yeah, I was gonna say, which was the money zone this year when we were up there.
Yeah.
That like
but the nice thing is you don't go through gas as fast as you go through electricity.
Right.
So
yeah. No, that's a good tip. So
they worked really well until Bill ran one until I loaned him one for his boat and he ran it over with his motor and cut a hole in it.
Yep. I mean, that's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
We got friends like we do.
Yeah.
Will's throwing half of my tackle into the water. Bill's running over all of your new drift socks, and
Yeah,
that's where we're at. So
it's expensive to take our friends fishing.
yeah, it works out. I'm pretty sure Bill bought like half the beer this year, so he's probably okay.
Yeah, I was good with it.
Yeah,
That and Papa Ware bringing all the Fireball.
yeah. I try to stay away from that.
Yeah, it's a dangerous combination, but in a pinch,
That's a red boat staple right there.
it is a Red Bull boat staple. And I will say this: Red Boat catches most fish.
It did this year. It did this year.
Yep, because we
Yep.
had Fireball.
I mean, if I got lucky once every 10 years, I'd get cocky too. So, all right. On to 8 times up swag, which is good timing with Jason being here because I want Jason. Don't do it yet, Jason, because I don't want you to influence anything. But what, Chris, for you, we'll start with you on this. What's your favorite 8 times up swag that we sent out this year? So we are terrible at putting up videos. We have admitted that. But the one thing we have done really well since we started this in 2020 is the gear we send out to the handful of people that support us. I feel like is good because we've basically adopted the mantra of we're not putting anything else out, so we're going to go above and beyond with what we send out to our people. And I think we try to do that pretty well. And so last year was kind of the first full year we had been running it and doing it with the Patreon supporters and everything. So we sent out some cool stuff. So what was your favorite thing we sent out last year?
Well, obviously, I like all of it. However, I think that one of my favorites is the 8 times up mug from Yeti that we sent out. And it just so happens I have one here that has not been unwrapped.
Yeah, we've got this was
Yeah. So I actually have several of these that the folks that were like, "Hey, I'll buy that from you. I'll I want one, blah blah blah." They're typical folks, Sounds good, but then they're like, "Hey, I need the money for that." And they're like, "Oh, I can't do that." Well, so I held on to it. But yeah, I think this one is definitely my favorite.
So let's do this. I like how you said that. So we started out doing 8 times up. We had a shop that we were going to sell stuff through and all this stuff. The problem with anybody who has ever tried to start something where they sell t-shirts or any sort of merchandise is you play this weird line of trying to have enough merchandise in stock to be able to fulfill orders, and like you don't want to waste money and all this stuff. So we switched off the store model to this Patreon model. But I do like this idea. If someone watches this, and this is what, January 2023. So we'll say in the next month, by the end of January, if we have a new Patreon supporter, we will send them one of those mugs, which that was typically sent out for someone who had been supporting for 4 months. But we'll throw that in the mail as soon as someone registers if they sign up in January. I think that's a pretty good way to get rid of one of those. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. I like the Yeti cup, with my profession, the bad thing is the cars that I roll around in. And I'm sure Jason can appreciate this. The cup holder doesn't support it. But then again, anything that has that, the Hydro Flask water bottles, the really good drinking containers, they never fit in a cup holder very well.
Right.
That's my only gripe about it, but I like it because it keeps coffee or hot drinks hot. It keeps cold drinks cold, and it has 8 times up on it.
Yeah. It's such a good, it's a good size. And I mean,
Yeah.
Yeti advertises these as like beer mugs, which was the appeal to us.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, my favorite thing with these is to put 2 big ice cubes in it during the summer, put some bourbon in there. I won't say how much bourbon, some bourbon in there, and then fill it with peach juice. And, that's like my mow the lawn drink right there.
Yeah.
So,
The nice thing is,
yeah.
like, one of my favorite parts about it is it's black, so it's tactical.
There you go. So, all right. So Jason says he loves the hats. The new one, Jason got his early. Yeah, I shouldn't let you talk about that because you've got yours before anyone else does. But Jason has the new leather patch hat that we're sending out to everyone here soon. Hands down the side pouch utility case. I think so. That's why I was telling Jason not to say anything because he was going to steal our thunder. But the sling bag that we did would be my favorite. I would go back and forth between the Yeti mug and this sling pack. And I think one of my favorite things about both of them is when I get text from people or people post stuff on Instagram or any of that stuff. Those are the 2 that get used the most.
Right.
Those are the ones we see pictures of people taking them to the range, that sling bag. I've seen at the range. I've seen it skeet shooting. I think Will brought his. I know I brought mine as my fly fishing pack for Taylor this year. And so they're just great utility backpacks, which Patrick, if you see this, I do still have yours and I will bring it to you for the last contest we ran. Like I'll get that to you. So, yeah. So we got that
for Mexico, the airport and stuff.
Who did?
I did. I used mine to go back and forth from Mexico and, keep like
Oh,
and my passport and all the, gum, snacks, whatever.
yeah. Yeah. Apparently Natalie has claimed the Yeti mug. So Natalie and Jason are married in Utah. So that's our people tuning in right now. Coffee hot all day. Yep. You're right. It's great. Yeah, Natalie, we don't need to talk about having a 13-year-old daughter anymore. I've had enough of that. So that's a sore subject. All right. To close it out, so we've talked about best of 22. What's the goals for 2023? Or what are you even it doesn't have to be a goal. What is something you're excited about in 2023?
So I'm excited with the knowledge I learned in 2022, and then hopefully the trips that we get to do in 2023 and putting those together. And I know you and I've already talked, and we've got several trips lined up or planned mentally at least for the families to come along and to just get out a little more often than we did last year. I'm also excited that my schedule has kind of been set in stone minus the call out stuff. That I'm hoping that it'll make getting out on the water a lot easier and being able to do that more often than I was able to last year. So,
yeah. I think I'm super pumped. One of our trips we have on the calendar, which I already have a wrench getting possibly thrown in it, so we might have to reschedule it.
oh, here we go. We talked about this earlier today.
I know, but we're gonna make a Lake Powell trip happen this year. That Chris goes on, and you have never been to Lake Powell.
I have not.
And it is absolutely life-changing to be down there in the fall and striper fishing. So I am super pumped about that. I am also really pumped to try the stuff, like you said, to try the jigging stuff that started to work last year multiple times this next year. Like that has become my, like, I don't know. I am all in on figuring out how to make that work this year. So right now I have a stack. I bet I have 15 to 20 new jigs sitting on the front of my boat, still in packages, because I just keep ordering stuff and I'm like, oh, that one looks good. Let's get that. And then I don't unpackage it. I just throw it on the front of the boat so I can remember, like, hey, you bought this, you should use it, kind of
Right.
thing. So I'm excited about that as well, for sure. And hopefully, some more of these. We're trying to get a little more consistent. I mean, it doesn't take much. If we put out one video a month, we're way more consistent than we've been for the last 2 years. So we've got that going for us.
Yeah, but we're going for progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
It's our
Well,
business.
and I think when we started out, we said we're not good at this. I think that's been a mantra since the beginning.
Yeah, no, we've been very honest. We're not very good at this.
Yeah. But we are learning a ton. And I hope people are coming along and see the value in that side of things as well.
Yep.
So anything else you want to add?
No, I can't think of much.
All right. Thank you, Jason, Nat, Andrew, for tuning in to the live. You guys are great. Anybody else that tunes in, hey, ask questions. Like if something we said didn't make sense, we need to clarify, or you want more details on anything, let us know so we can make that stuff clear for people. Questions, comments, leave those as well. Sign up for Patreon, get a Yeti mug. I mean, I think our Patreon levels start at $5. So if you wanted to be a jerk about it, you could sign up in January as a Patreon supporter for $5. We will pay more than that to ship you a Yeti mug, and then you could cancel, and then we'd have your address and know where you live. So that's a choice you got to make on your own.
I don't know if we know anybody that has any kind of skill set like that, though.
I think we know some people.
Let's just leave it at that.
We know some people, and we've got some property. So
we know people who know people.
Yeah. This is a great way to recruit Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But seriously, sign up. We do send out great swag. That's the one thing we're good at, because we only have to do it once every 3 or 4 months. But it is always above and beyond, I think, the expense that it costs to support it. We're not in this right now to make money. We're in this to create a community of people that rally around this idea of 8 Times Up Outdoors. So with that being said, I think now we're up to 3. We have 3 people freaking watching our live.
Boy.
I know we're almost there. And we're going to sign off now, but
yeah,
until next time, tight lines,
cool cans.
And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Be watching, like, subscribe so you can know once a month when we put these up.